Thank you, Chief Secretary Dr. Rushwaya. Members of the Fourth Estate Cabinet discussed a number of issues which include the following. Cabinet approved the report by the Interministerial Committee on Drug and Substance Abuse as presented by the Minister of Defense, Honorable OCZ Muchinguri Kashiri. As government continues to intensify its response against drug and substance abuse across the country, a number of measures have been put in place. Since January 2024, about 6,148 people were arrested, 677 were suppliers, and 5,471 were end users, and a total of 106 illegal drug and substance trading bases were identified, raided, and destroyed in the following respective areas: Harare Metropolitan Province, Shamva, Chinoi, Bindura, Bulawayo, and Mutare. 51 liquor outlets were charged for operating without the correct licenses, whilst 268 operators were also arrested for violating license conditions, and 17 outlets had their licenses cancelled for violating operating conditions. A total of 311 countrywide inspections on medicines outlets were conducted, and 62 licenses focusing on medicines were confiscated. Awareness campaigns on drug and substance abuse are being accelerated, targeting all the people of Zimbabwe, but mainly focusing on youth and children. The Youth Service in Zimbabwe training program will commence in June 2024 at Daya and Vumba training centers. In addition, as a key measure to reduce indulgence and also to ensure that financial inclusivity is heightened, a total of 20,000 United States dollars has so far been loaned to youths across the country to focus on income generating projects through the Empower Bank. Cabinet also approved the Zimbabwe Multi-Sectorial Drug and Substance Abuse Plan for the year 2024 to the year 2030 that outlines a comprehensive strategic approach to address the escalating threat of drug and substance abuse to public health, economic growth, national security, and social stability in Zimbabwe. The decentralization of Drug and Narcotics Department will be expedited, and Cabinet also approved the review and updating of the fine structure and directed that suppliers must be prosecuted through the courts of law and not through spot fines. The establishment of an outpatient psychosocial support framework, which includes centers and parenting groups countrywide, as well as the purchase of psychotropic medicines and food provisions for rehabilitation centers, will also be expedited. The Minister of Defense, Honorable OCZ Muchinguri Kashiri, also updated Cabinet on the principles for the Zimbabwe Drug and Substance Agency Bill. The nation is advised that the prevalence of drug and substance abuse has become a global issue, and Zimbabwe has not been spared. Drug and substance abuse has become a threat to economic development, social harmony, health and well-being, public order and security. Hence, Cabinet approved the principles for the enactment of the Zimbabwe Drug and Substance Agency Bill 2024 that paves way for the establishment of an additional security service and specialized drug and substance elimination agency. The agency will be responsible for the enforcement of laws that deal with drug and substance trafficking, use and abuse, as well as coordinating efforts of other support services. Cabinet received reports on progress made in the implementation of priority projects for the first 100-day cycle for the year 2024, as presented by the Ministers of Primary and Secondary Education and the Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage. The Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, Honorable Cholera Moyo, reported progress on projects under his purview as follows. The registration of 40 newly built and existing satellite schools in all the provinces is on course for completion before the end of the cycle. The upgrading of schools infrastructure, which is the rehabilitation and upgrading of classroom blocks, administration offices, accommodation, water and sanitation facilities at 11 schools is on course for completion before the end of the cycle. The construction and conversion of 10 laboratories at schools in Manicaland, Matabeleland North, Harare Metropolitan, Masvingo and Mashonaland provinces is on course for completion before the end of the cycle. The construction of 4 sustainable and affordable boarding facilities in Manicaland, Masvingo and Mashonaland East provinces is also on course. The Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage, Honorable Kazembe Kazembe, reported progress on projects under his purview as follows. The establishment of the Howard Mission Community Archive in Mashonaland Central Province, which is at 20% in terms of completion. Resource mobilization for the decentralization of e-passport services to Gokwe South, Midlands Province is currently underway. The storyline development and the collection acquisition exercise in all wards has been conducted for the refurbishment of the Nambia Community Museum at Wange in Matabeleland North Province, and 15% of the overall works on the online border management system has been completed. Cabinet also considered and approved a proposed public-private partnership project between ZESA Enterprises and Management Services, as presented by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion, Professor Honorable Mtulingwe. The initiative will promote investments and access to reliable and affordable energy. Cabinet also approved an agreement framework for the United States $25 million transmission cable manufacturing plant in Harare. The joint venture project will enable the transfer of technology and expertise to ZESA and its personnel. The project will ensure availability of power cables for the revitalization and expansion of transmission and distribution networks in order to meet national targets for increased access to electricity. Players in the mining and cable manufacturing value chains and downstream industries will also benefit significantly from the project. The local copper mines will have a local market for their produce, and there will be significant employment opportunities for Zimbabweans. The value chains will also contribute to increased gross domestic product through local, regional, and continental cable and related product sales, which also includes exports. Cabinet received and noted the report on a state visit by His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, who is also the President of the Republic of Kenya, as presented by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Honorable Dr. Frederick Shava. The nation is advised that His Excellency, the President, Dr. Idi Mnangagwa, invited his counterpart, His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya, to officiate at the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair 2024. The two presidents will witness the signing of a number of memorandums of understanding agreed upon by the officials at the Zimbabwe-Kenya Joint Permanent Commission. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that.
Thank you, Chief Secretary. The first question is from Bernard from Newshawks, that to the Minister of Home Affairs about any plans in terms of the revival of copper mines. I'll also add something else, but I'll allow the Minister of Home Affairs to respond first.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Allow me to thank Bernard for such a pertinent question. Yes, in fact, from a business perspective, once there is use of the copper, once we have a company that requires as raw materials copper, and we believe that the setting up of this company will result in a lot of exports in this regard, as this copper, the copper cables are not only meant for the domestic market. So the moment that you have a company that consumes a lot of copper, that automatically creates demand for the raw material. And where there's demand from a business perspective, it requires some intervention. So it creates an opportunity, if you like. So definitely there will be resuscitation of not just one copper mine, but probably a number of copper mines. And once that happens, we also think that, we believe that a lot of other potential investors will also come and want to invest in the copper itself as a raw material into this new factory, which we believe will be a leader in the region when it comes to cable manufacturing. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Education arena. I think his worry is that we have more private schools, but I'll allow the Minister. But I think it clearly shows that there is a good investment climate in the education sector. But I'll allow the Minister to tackle the question. Honorable Moyo.
As possible, because we have a deficit in terms of number of schools. The latest information I have is that we have a shortage of close to 2,800 schools. And that has witnessed a proliferation and mushrooming of schools, which we may want to define as private. But I have to be very clear, the private schools that we want must be registered with the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. Those that are mushrooming in the high-density suburbs, in the majority of cases, are illegal schools because they are not registered. And they are operating illegally against the law. In fact, we are going to come up with a paper which I will present in Cabinet, where we are going to outlaw those schools and perhaps to give them a grace period, maybe depending on what Cabinet would have recommended. We are going to close all the illegal schools that are operating illegally, because as a ministry, we are supposed to ensure that there is quality equitable, inclusive education. But the so-called private schools that we have seen, somebody would have a school in his or her backyard, and learners are squeezed or jam-packed in very small rooms, and that is against our expectations and the chances of disease spreading, because the conditions in the majority of cases are squalid. So those are the schools that we don't want. We want private registered schools where we are able to control quality education. We are able to control standards according to expectations of the ministry. Thank you.
Province, and the President of the Republic of Kenya will be in Bulawayo. The other issues are security related, but he will be in Bulawayo by the 26th in order to officially open the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ministers.
Okay, Chief Secretary, thank you. The first question is related to Honorable Kazembe on the state of rehabilitation centers. PS and coordinator, Dr. Maomba, you can also add. Yes, she's here. But Honorable Kazembe will respond first, then she will add more. Then the second issue, okay, you can respond first.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. COVID centers that we have throughout the country, and the target is that we will have at least one from each province ready for this purpose. We do have already a center in North Central, in Chipate. We have such a center, and we also have some centers within the hospital setups, and also within some of the prisons. But for finer details, Honorable Chair, if you allow me to ask Dr. Mahonva to add on to that. Thank you.
Thank you, right, and I'm extremely delighted that Zimbabwe are really moving forward very strongly. One of the reasons why we worked so hard, flat out, to come up with the 2024 to 2030 plan is because we wanted a structured way of moving forward, give the nation a direction, and ensure that every single pillar, including the harm reduction, treatment, and rehabilitation pillar, which is responsible for these centers that you're talking about, is also given a strong direction, and that we're on the same page. So from that page in our plan, we have a detailed approach in terms of how we're going to do it. I'm happy to say work is already in progress. I'm also happy to say the Deputy Chair here, Minister of Home Affairs, who also led the delegation to the United Nations Office of Drug and Crime in March, we were able to also present the details of how we're going to do this, which really means, one, the COVID centers, and the work is already in progress. We are busy mobilizing additional resources, but we're also looking at additional other facilities and sites and innovative ways of making sure that we are indeed responding in a comprehensive fashion. Thank you.
Thank you. Kazembe, the Minister of Home Affairs, about the visa framework. Has it been finalized? And when are we implementing that visa framework? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. What I can, the government of Kenya, but as you'd appreciate, visa regimes are supposed to be discussed within the two countries involved. So there are discussions ongoing. Our immigration department is currently in discussion with their counterparts, and we hope and trust that very soon this will be implemented. Thank you.
Thank you very much that I met some of you in Rabinda. Let's meet in Bulawayo for this ZITF. Thank you very much.
Thank you.